So you want to build a ChatGPT app. In this video, I will break down exactly what they are, how they work, and how to build one using Fractal. But first, let's make sure we're on the same page because ChatGPT apps are not the same as GPT. Here are the key difference. GPT give you the custom context, but they're text only, and they cannot connect with the outside services. Apps, on the other hand, give you the custom context, plus it has the ability to connect to external services and it can display custom UI. Let me show you what I mean. Here is the Expedia GPT. When I ask, find me the cheapest flight from SF to London tomorrow, it's all text, and because it cannot connect with Expedia, all I get is a very generic answer. On the other hand, if I run the same prompt on the Expedia app, it can find the specific flight that I asked because the Expedia app can connect with Expedia to find the right flight for me. It also contains a UI so you can see these flight informations and you can click out to purchase your flight. It looks like magic, right? So how does it work? This is the diagram showing how ChatGPT works. When you type something into ChatGPT, your app understands the prompt and then it will pull out important information into parameters and send it to the app. The app is going to do something with the parameter. It's either fetch the information from an external service or do some calculations and then return a UI to display the result information. Going back to my Expedia example, my prompt, find me the cheapest flight from SF to London tomorrow. ChatGPT knows based on my prompt what the airport code is San Francisco and what the airport code is London. And what tomorrow means is going to turn this information into the parameter for the app. And then what the app does is going to call the Expedia API to get the latest information. And the API return a JSON back to the app. Then the app create a UI on top of the JSON and return the JSON onto ChatGPT. And that is how it works behind the scene. Now that we know how it works, the question really is, why do we even need ChatGPT apps? So ChatGPT apps were created because there are three particular areas where ChatGPT in particular are really bad with. And ChatGPT apps help enhance the experience for users. These categories are know, do, and show. For know, ChatGPT training has a cutoff date, so ChatGPT doesn't know the live data or any private data. Expedia flight, for example, is live data. The availability changes every minute, so ChatGPT has to rely on the Expedia app, which has the connection to the Expedia API to get the most accurate information. The next category is do. ChatGPT can plan, but it cannot act on its plan. For example, I usually use ChatGPT to do my meal prep. With the Instacart app, ChatGPT doesn't just plan, it can also buy grocery for me. This is super convenient because I don't have to go to another tab to search for every single ingredient that ChatGPT has planned for me. And if you think about it, this is what makes ChatGPT really, really powerful. If you plan a trip, for example, and ChatGPT knows all of your favorite, like airlines, your favorite seat, it can go and book all your travel on your behalf. This is the beginning of what we call an agentic experience. The last category where ChatGPT is particularly bad with, an app can help improve it, is show. Sometimes you need information more than just text. For example, I usually ask ChatGPT to generate a color palettes for me whenever I do like website design. If I just ask ChatGPT, I usually just see a bunch of hex code. This is not very useful. I want to see colors. So I created a palette generator app that whenever I ask ChatGPT to create a color palette for me, I see the whole colors, not just text. And this is very, very helpful. Now that you know what ChatGPT apps are and why we need them, I will show you how to build a ChatGPT app. It is super simple. You just need to go to Fractal and type in what you want. Fractal is very good at building apps, but you need to know what you want to build. I'm going to give you some frameworks I use to figure out what to build and how to prompt Fractal to build it for you. First, in order to decide which ChatGPT app to build, you need to identify what prompt that ChatGPT doesn't do very well. And I'm going to give you a little hint. Anything that requires live data, private data, taking some actions, display something visually, those are all the stuff that ChatGPT doesn't do well. And having an app would be a good idea. For example, I want ChatGPT to create a color palette for me, but I get really annoyed because, it gives me hex code. I don't know what these colors are. So now I know that this is the prompt that I can make into an app. I will construct a prompt for Fractal to build the app for me. And this is how I like to construct my prompt. I usually make sure my prompt answers three questions. First, when should ChatGPT use this app? Second, how should the app handle the prompt? And third, how should the app display the result? In this particular example, when ChatGPT should use my app should be used when the user asks ChatGPT to generate a color palette. How should ChatGPT handle the prompt? In this example, I want ChatGPT to create a color palette and send the text and color names onto the app. How should the app display the UI? I want the app to use the text to generate a beautiful UI of the color palette, clearly show the colors and the text and the name underneath the color. So I'm going to put this exact prompt onto Fractal and let it build for me. I just copy the prompt onto Fractal. Fractal is going to generate a plan for me, and I can see exactly how Fractal is going to build my app before I started building. For example, what tools that it has, what colors it takes in, and what it's going to show. This all looks really good for me, so I'm going to approve the plan. Looks like the app has finished building. You can see how the app looks on desktop and how it looks on mobile. You can also look to see what the code looks like if you want to inspect the code. And you can keep chatting with Fractal to see what else you want to change. Now that the app is exactly what I want, I'm going to click on this button, Deploy to Production. Now that the app is done deploying, I can copy the deployment URL, then go to ChatGPT app to test my app. Please make sure that you have a pay account because you can only test ChatGPT app if you have a pay account. So you go to Setting, then Apps, then you scroll all the way down and click on Create App. I'm going to name my app Color and paste the URL that Fractal deploy for you. Select No Auth because this app doesn't have any authentication. Click on I understand and want to continue. Now let's test our app. I'm going to have to create a new chat and select our app, which is a color app for a baby shower website. You can see here that I can see the colors now, not just a bunch of hex code. And obviously, this doesn't really look good, like I can continue to prompt and say, hey, I only want 2 to 3 colors per row, or whatever that you think would be appropriate for your own app. So this is an example of a very, very simple app that take a user prompt, do something with it, and return a UI. But for a lot of the apps that we're going to build, we're going to have to connect to a data source, to an external service, so that it can give additional information for ChatGPT, or it can do something outside of ChatGPT. There are two primary ways that you can do that. You can do that via an API if you already have a web service that has an API, or you can put your data into a spreadsheet. This example, I want to show you a spreadsheet because the spreadsheet is the easiest way for you to get started. So one of my clients is an e-commerce company and she has a spreadsheet of her product listing. She wants to be able to turn these into a ChatGPT app so that her user can easily find the products that they want. You can have a spreadsheet of anything, either a list of recipes, like if you want to turn your family recipe into a ChatGPT app, or you have a list of store and you want your customer to be able to check availability of products in each of the store, you can also create a spreadsheet and use that as the back end for a ChatGPT app. First step, make sure that you have all the information that you need for the ChatGPT app. So here, because it's a shopping app, we want to make sure that we have product names, we have the brand of the product, we have the link so that user can click on it to buy. We want the description so that user can search for like certain product and can go and search for the description. We want to display the price. We want the image URL so that it can show the image. And we want what category that the product is in. This is optional, but because my client use the same product catalog link that they use for Google Shopping for their ChatGPT apps, so they naturally have these. And that is another tip too. If you already have a Google spreadsheet for your Google Shopping, you can reuse that as the data source for your ChatGPT app. Here is the exact prompt that I use to create this shopping app. First, you want to say, I want to create a shopping app using the below spec, and I also break it into 3 different sections. The app is used when a user asks ChatGPT about what they want to buy. For example, I want to buy a mouthwash. What do I want ChatGPT to do? I want ChatGPT to find the products using the columns like product name, product brand, product description, using this spreadsheet. And ChatGPT must be able to find the products that are closely related to what the user asked, not necessarily an exact match. So say if the user say, I want to buy a mouthwash, it is not the exact match as a product that is an oil pulling mouthwash, but I want the user to be able to see this product anyway. And the third part, the app display a carousel of products with product image, price, brand, description. Again, when you build, you don't have to prompt it so clearly like this. Fractal is extremely smart, and even if you don't give it all of the information, it would be able to build an app for you anyway. But I find this extremely helpful for me to structure my thought process and make sure that the app that I build is intentional. I'm going to copy this whole prompt onto Fractal for it to build. The process is going to be very similar to the last app, so I'm going to skip that and gonna show you directly what the app looks like after you have done the building. Yay, you can see that it showed the product exactly like how I want it. I can click on view details to see what the product looks like, and I click buy now to buy the product. I hope that this is helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. And if you want more ChatGPT app tutorials, I have plenty more on this channel for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.